Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia, the New York Mets play the Philadelphia Phillies. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, dedicated to advancing cancer research, treatment, and care. More science, less fear. By Nissan, now's the best time to save big at Nissan's Take Home a Titan Truck Month event. By Spectrum Mobile. Spectrum Mobile has unlimited talk, text, and data. Save up to 40%. Go to spectrummobile.com today. And by Budweiser, the legendary lager for legendary moments. Checking the standings in the National League East, the Phillies 6.5 games behind with 2 weeks to play. The Braves have a magic number of 8, and the path is just as difficult for the Phillies in the wild card race. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Philadelphia. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you today as the Mets open a 3-game series against the Phillies. In early August, the Phillies were in first place. They were as much as a game and a half in front, but they have fallen on hard times coming down the stretch of the season, and now their plight is awfully difficult if they want to get to the postseason.
You know, I think for the Phillies, coming down the stretch, they probably tried to go out and get a few pieces that would help. They got Asdrubal Cabrera, of course, and others, but they helped, but not enough. They didn't get enough help in their bullpen, but they're a team that probably is a year away, right, when you think about it. They came out, and Gabe Kapler was heavy on the analytics. They've used them all season long to get to a close place in August, but then it all fell apart.
And their starting pitching has struggled. That had been the linchpin of their team all season. The Mets will send Zach Wheeler to the mound tonight, and Wheeler has just been phenomenal since the beginning of June.
You know, he's been lost in kind of the beautiful year that Jacob deGrom has had. Since the end of June, he's 9-1 in his last 14 starts, ERA under 2, and he has just been probably, of all the Mets pitchers, the biggest surprise.
Mets are a little concerned about the fatigue factor with Wheeler. This could possibly be his last start of the year. Meanwhile, Jake Arrieta has really faded down the stretch for the Phils.
He has, and remember, he did not start out very well because he signed so late, had an abbreviated spring training. He's given up 5 home runs, and he's not a home run pitcher. 5 home runs in his last 2 starts.
He's only given up 1 run in his 2 starts against the Mets this year. He'll try and keep the Phillies alive on a Monday night in Philadelphia. The Mets and Phils, all the action on SNY. Citizen Festival. City, welcome what's next. And by Aetna Medicare Solutions, Medicare that takes a total approach to health and wellness. Purchase your 2019 Mets season ticket package today. Choose from full season, half season, or 20-game plans that include opening day and the Subway Series. Plus, for a limited time, receive an authentic or replica Mets jersey with your purchase. Purchase your plan today at Mets.com/ticket plans. Your cricket smile moment of the game, and how can you help but smile at the memory of the great Harry Callis, longtime voice of the Phillies, honored in statuary here at Citizens Bank Park, microphone in hand, with his white shoes. Important to remember the white shoes. Mets and Phillies, first pitch coming right up. National League East, but their 12-23 record since the 7th of August has put them in a difficult spot. The Braves with a magic number of 8 for clinching the National League East. They'll be home against the Cardinals tonight after the Cardinals' huge win last night, salvaging the final game of that series against the Dodgers behind Adam Wainwright.
Oh, there he is, Jake Arrieta, signing that big 3-year contract. He was one of those free agents who sat out a long period of time before he finally negotiated his contract with the Phils.
Didn't sign until March the 12th. They gave him 3 years and $75 million, and he's been a net positive for the Phillies, no question about it. But coming down the stretch, he has struggled.
He has, and net positive. You want a little more for your $25 million. than that. But Jake Arrieta has always pitched well against the Mets. His last 4 starts, 2 in a Cubs uniform, 2 in a Phils uniform. He's 0-2, but his ERA is just barely over 2. And his defense behind him, defense has been a problem for the Phillies all year long, but not behind the plate. Wilson Ramos is outstanding. Cabrera, J.P. Crawford back at shortstop. He started the season as a starter. Hernandez and Santana on the right. And in the outfield, I would say that this outfield defense is one of the weaker in the National League. Hoskins is a first baseman playing left. Herrera is an infielder playing center. And Nick Williams, although a really good athlete, doesn't seem to get great jumps in right field.
Well, we saw it when the Phillies were at Citi Field last week. Their defense is just dreadful, and it has been all year, and they made it worse when they made their late season trades. They traded for Cabrera and put him at short. They traded for Bohr and they put Santana at third.
Bautista.
Yeah. So they have not done the things that they needed to do to make their defense better. They were trying to enhance an offense that was struggling, but it really hasn't worked. The Phillies have pretty much hit the skid since those new guys started coming aboard at the trading deadline. Ahmed Rosario leads off at a good series in Boston. Went 4 for 13, including a home run. This will be his 500th at bat of the season. His on-base percentage bubbling just below 300. First pitch of the night from Arrieta is low and away for ball 1, and we're underway. Rosario, McNeil, and Conforto for the Mets in the opening inning. With the Mets on the verge of being mathematically eliminated from any postseason contention, Mickey Callaway was asked today about what he has seen from this team this year, and one of the things he talked about was how many players have gotten better over the course of the season. And I think you start with Ahmed Rosario.
And that's something that I can really say in the past has been hard to say about the Mets, that players have gotten better over the course of the season.
Hit down to the right side. Santana will have to take it to the bag himself, and does in time to get Rosario for the first out.
Good hustle there by Ahmed just to make it close at first base as Mr. Hit comes up for the Mets.
Jeff McNeil took a rare 0 for yesterday in Boston. He's hitting .328 through his first 174 big league at bats. Mets are facing Arrieta for the 3rd time this year, and he's dominated them in both of his starts without getting a win. And it's lined over short. McNeil's got a base hit. The first hit of the game for either side, and the Mets have a 1-out base run.
So everyone in the league knows he's a first pitch fastball hitter. So Arrieta tries to come inside. It bleeds back over the middle of the plate, and that is right up the alley of McNeil.
That's another thing that Mickey Callaway was talking about today, is this team now versus the start of the season, how much more offensively diverse they are. And that's really the truth. Here's Michael Conforto, and he drives one out to left center. Going back is Herrera. He'll have room in front of the track and reels it in for the second out. When you think about how this team was built, it was built as a home run hitting team, as they were last year when they tied for the league lead in home runs. It didn't work out that way, and now they've got some different pieces at the top of the lineup who approach things a little differently.
It's honestly very rare that a team can change lanes like that in the middle of the season, but the big reason has been the emergence of Conforto, who's had a better second half, McNeil coming up and filling that second hole, and Rosario taking a lot of the onus on his shoulders as the leadoff hitter.
And I think also Nimmo and the progression that he's made this year. Here's Todd Frazier, and he takes just off the plate for ball 1. Frazier went 1 for 9 in the series in Boston, has a couple of home runs in his career against Arrieta. StatCast AI, powered by Amazon Web Services.
So we talked about Boston has the same kind of stats like every other team, but Philadelphia plays Frazier all to pull, and Boston did not have their second baseman on the other side of second base.
Hernandez gets his shoe tied in time. Frazier fouls it off. You ever throw a pitch when a infielder was tying his shoe?
I wouldn't know, because I wouldn't be facing them.
Well, you might know after the fact.
I would, exactly. I have thrown a pitch before because I used to like to work quick once I got over my first couple of years where, like, Straw would not be in position in right field. That would happen sometimes.
You wouldn't be in that little faded area.
You wouldn't.
The strawberry patch. 2 hopper to short, and Crawford gets the force play to end the inning. A hit and 1 left. Zach Wheeler takes the mound when we come back. About a week, but he's back in his more familiar leadoff role now. J.P. Crawford, who was the starting shortstop for the Phillies in April, getting a rare September start as Zach Wheeler tries to keep this late season run going.
11-7. He's going for a career high 12th win tonight. This is his 50th start on the road. Zach Wheeler's 19-10 in 50 starts on the road.
Hernandez has homered in each of his last 2 games, only the second time in his career that he's been able to do that. He has tremendous career numbers against Zach Wheeler. 7 hits and 11 career at bats.
Asking a lot of Phillies people, he fouled a ball, 2 balls off the same spot in the same week, and it really has hampered him all season long. He has not been the player he has been the last couple of years.
Yet he still has a .359 on base percentage, a tad below what he's accustomed to, but still what you'd like from your leadoff hitter. 87 walks this year. That's 6th in the National League. 13 home runs. And Wheeler comes inside, falls behind 3-1.
Knows the strike zone. If we can catch his feet again. Sorry guys, I missed the last pitch as Rhys Hoskins is on deck. Catch his feet, got a real bow-legged stance in there. Keep him locked in.
Right foot turned in. And he goes after the fastball, misses 3-2. Wheeler coming off 8 scoreless innings against the Marlins last Wednesday. That was that day with the 5.5-hour rain delay as Hernandez pops one up on the left side and Rosario takes charge of it, and Wheeler has his first out. Wheeler took himself out of that game after 8 innings and 89 pitches, and you know, he felt as though the 5.5 hours of sitting around had an impact on him, but his velocity was down, particularly in the last few innings. And it was alarming enough that Mickey Callaway said today they're going to keep a very close watch on him in terms of his velocity early in this game and whether he tires the way he did in his last start. And it might have an impact on how deep he goes today and whether he makes his last 2 starts of the year. There's Rhys Hoskins with 1 out. Well, he takes a fastball strike.
Innings-wise, after his surgery, he's going places he has never been before. So That's a great stat. Starts with 7+ innings, first 79.9, last 15. He's been a star.
Two Hopper to third, and Frazier takes care of Hoskins for the second out. If you go back before his Tommy John surgery, though, Wheeler threw 185 innings in 2014.
Yeah.
He's about 10 innings shy of that, so he's not going to go very far past that. So I don't know how much that factors in when you try and think about how far he should be able to go.
Well, you know, I think to me that's prior to injury. So this is pitching on a new arm. So being careful, I think, is a good thing.
Meanwhile, his velocity is just fine early in this game, throwing a consistent 97 with his fastball. 2 out and nobody on now is Dribble Cabrera. His 44th game as a Philly, and he hits one into the shift. McNeil scoops it up, and it's a quick inning for Wheeler as he gets him out 1-2-3 on just 9 pitches. After 1, Mets and Phillies, no score. Let's play the Marlins at 7:10 p.m. for Fan Appreciation Weekend. After the game, fans will enjoy a fireworks show that will light up the Citi Field sky, presented by Verizon. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Brandon Nimmo leads off the second inning and takes a strike. Nimmo went 1 for 7 in the series in Boston, but the one was a 3-run homer on Saturday. 17 home runs for the year, .396 on base percentage. That's 4th in the National League. And Arrieta ahead of him 0-2.
You're not going to call him getting hit by a pitch this series, are you?
Well, he got hit in every game in Boston.
But you saw it coming with Robbie Scott. You just knew it was going to happen. Oh.
Arrieta thought he had it, but it's off the corner, 1-2. Jeff Nelson, the home plate umpire tonight. Dominic Smith waits on deck, then Austin Jackson for the Mets in the second.
Arrieta, of all the right-handers in baseball, has the most movement of any pitcher I've seen in recent years. Because of the way he throws across his body, the way he throws that two-seam fastball, movement is almost hard for him to control. He's got a lot of walks and innings pitched this year, 52 and 159 innings coming in.
There's your umpiring crew. Jeff Nelson calling the balls and strikes. Laz Diaz, Sean Barber, and Manny Gonzalez rounding out the crew. Arrieta over his last 6 starts, pitching to a 5.85 ERA. His only good start over that span was against the Mets. And Nimmo, with a half swing, was able to hold up. 3-2. Well, they're the on-base percentage leaders in the National League.
The only one not smiling is Votto. You know Nimmo's smiling.
He's smug because he always leads the league in on-base percentage. Every year. 3-2 coming. And Nimmo, after falling behind 0-2, works out a walk. 66 walks now for Brandon this year to go with 21 hit by pitches and 106 hits. That's how you stay up near 400 in your on-base percentage. And the Mets have a leadoff base runner in the second. Now Dom Smith, whose last start on Saturday didn't begin well. He had a couple of errors in the first 2 innings. He's also 0 for his last 9. And Arrieta paints the inside edge for a strike, 0-1. Dominic's had 106 big league at bats now this season, hitting .208, 4 home runs. So very similar to the stretch that he had when he came to the big leagues last year.
Occasional pop, not a good average.
And similar to last year, seemingly hitting for more power in the big leagues than he did in the minor leagues. So you don't know whether that's him feeling as though he needs to be a different kind of hitter when he comes to the big leagues, or just happenstance because of the small sample size. Nimmo runs, it's slashed foul. And off the fence in front of the Mets dugout. I don't know if that was designed as a hit and run play.
Thought that almost got maybe the future Cy Young Award winner.
Brown went over backwards in Boston too. So, I don't know if that was the baseball or the rat in the dugout. 0-2 coming, and the curveball hit toward the middle, base hit for Smith. Nimmo to second. He'll stop there as Williams scoops it up. So Arrieta throwing an 0-2 curveball, and Smith gets aboard with the Mets' second hit of the game.
Well, good hitting. Ball hanging a little bit for Dominic Smith. Not a good 0-2 pitch by Arrieta. And my answer to you would be, why does he hit with more power in the major leagues? I think because the Mets have chosen not to use him every day over an extended period of time. So when he gets limited play, he tries to make the most of it.
So the Mets have the first 2 men on against Arrieta in the second, and now Austin Jackson. 4 hits in 9 career at bats against Arrieta, and he takes a fastball off the plate for ball 1. Just getting a run against Arrieta would be a big deal. His 2 starts against the Mets this year. Back in May, he threw 7 1/3 scoreless, and in August, 6 innings, 1 run. So he's allowed 1 run in his 2 starts, and he hasn't won either one. There's a no decision and a loss in those 2 starts. He's having a DeGromian time, at least against the Mets. Taken high, and it's 2-0. Despite his recent struggles, Arrieta is still among the best pitchers in the game over the last 4 years. He had his seminal season in 2015 when he went 22-6 with a 1.77 and won the Cy Young.
That second half of that season was as good as any second half any pitcher's ever had.
I mean, think about this. He had basically the exact same ERA that year that DeGrom has this year.
That's right.
And he was 22-6. That's what it's supposed to look like.
Exactly. Well,
that's on the inside corner, 2-2. Of course, he struggled early in his career with the Orioles, came into his own as a Cub, and Phillies picked him up out of free agency.
Well, the Braves are finding that out with Kevin Gausman. Maybe that's what you do. You get some of those young pitchers out of the AL East and you bring them over to the National League.
Well, if they all have Arrieta's work ethic, that'll work. That's toward the middle. Crawford can't get it. It's into center field, and Nimmo will come in with the game's first run. Smith goes to third, and now the ball bobbled in center field, and Jackson takes the extra base. 1-0 New York. Crawford couldn't quite get to the grounder, and then when Hoskins came over to pick that ball up, he bobbled it, and Jackson went to second.
Breaking ball away. Nice hitting by Jackson. Thought Crawford was going to get to this, but it gets by him. But Hoskins, what happens to him? When he's about to throw, he slips and falls and bobbled. Everything that allowed Jackson to get into second base. I think that'd be a single and error on Hoskins.
You would think so, but they've just scored it a double.
Okay.
And that's generous on both ends for everybody except Arrieta. Now the infield's going to come in. A run home, second and third, nobody out. Tomas Nido, the batter. And this is being very aggressive by Gabe Kapler early in this game, because with the infield in, you risk the hit that brings in two.
I think part of it is the respect for Wheeler and what he's done over the course of his last 14 starts.
Smith at third, Jackson at second, and Nido goes after a high fastball, 1-1.
I think part of it is the 8th place hitter.
Well, Nido likes to swing the bat. We've seen that, and he'll make occasional contact at his first home run on the last homestand, and he swings through that fastball, 1-2.
Well, the one difference for me from 3 years ago when Arrieta had his breakout season, he's still throwing across his body like he did then, but his hand is not in the right position. He's a little flat with his hand delivery, meaning the ball doesn't have the good angle on it, kind of cutting straight across the plate.
Toward the middle of the diamond, Crawford gets to it, the runners hold, and he throws out Nido one away. This play by Crawford with the infield in for the first out.
Good decision by the Phillies to have their infield in. Crawford had to go to his left. Short hops it and makes the play. Boy, they thought he would have a lot bigger season than he's had. Injuries, of course, have played a part, but this is a lost season for Crawford.
Didn't hit early, then he's had 2 different injuries that have cost him time on the DL. Here's Wheeler, who's had a good offensive year. 10 hits, 4 runs batted in for Zach. So the Mets turning a leadoff walk into a run, and now looking for more against Arrieta, who has a 1.94 career ERA in 9 starts against the Mets. And Wheeler gets tied in a knot trying to hold the swing, and he went around. 0-2.
Zach is going to hear about this from the other pitchers on the team.
Lucky he didn't sprain his ankle.
That's the pretzel swing.
All you can do is smile. He's already heard about it. Got a cut there as he fouls off a cutter, and it's 0-2.
Again, another mistake from Arrieta. Something you usually wouldn't see a veteran pitcher make in a situation so serious.
Arrieta needing a strikeout. And he gets it. Picks off the inside corner to get Wheeler for the second out. First strikeout of the night for Arrieta. He's averaged a little over 7 strikeouts per 9 innings this year.
Well, this is the difference maker, the pitch that will decide what kind of game he has. When he can paint that inside corner to a left-handed hitter, now I did it against the pitcher there, that's when he has his big games.
When you talk about his hand position being different, are you talking about his arm angle or just?
His arm angle is always different because he's low from the side, but his hand position is flat as opposed to on top of the baseball. If you're not on top of the baseball, it won't have proper break. If you are flat, the ball is just going to spin in the middle of the plate. That's where he's at.
And is that an easily correctable mechanical fix?
It should be for someone with his experience. It should be.
Rosario grounded out to open the game. Bats here with 2 in scoring position and 2 out. He had a big tying base hit in the 7th yesterday at Fenway with a 2-out hit. And he goes after a cutter and misses, and it's 0-2.
You can already see the break on the pitches are a lot different. I've thrown pitches, Gary, where at times you let them go. See the good break there, and you go, oh, please let me get that one back. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
I wanted to see who got the ball. Like it was going to be a pretty good scramble.
Yeah.
The little guy came up empty. But a youngster gets rewarded nonetheless.
World's greatest dad right now.
Only if the little brother doesn't get too angry about it. Grounded toward the hole, cut off nicely by Cabrera, and he throws out Rosario to end the inning. So the Mets cash one, but they leave food on the table. They get a run against Arrieta and leave 1-0. Ramos leads off against Zach Wheeler, who had a 1-2-3-9 pitch opening inning and now has a 1-0 lead. Ramos has been the one acquisition for the Phils who has really lived up to the billing. 22 games as a Philly. He's hitting .391. Up to .314 for the year after starting out the year in Tampa Bay. And of course, he always seems to produce against the Mets. Back to his days as a National.
Could be a free agent after this year.
Yes, he will. There's some interesting free agent catchers after this year. Ramos, Yasmani Grandal.
That's right.
It's going to be one of the big pieces of decision making for whoever becomes the Mets general manager, is to try to figure out whether and how to upgrade that position.
And they each have their strengths and their weaknesses. With Ramos, I see a great receiver, real good hitting catcher. Can he stay injury free? With Grandal, I see a very good offensive player. In my opinion, not a great defensive player.
And then the Mets have to self-evaluate the young player Nito.
Yeah.
Plawecki, who's now been around for a couple of years, got more chance to play this year. Whether to tender a contract to Travis d'Arnaud coming back from Tommy John surgery. Those would be all difficult decisions. Ramos bounces a two-hopper for McNeil. And that's the first out of the home second. And the other question is, if you're the Mets and you are building around your starting pitchers, which clearly is what they're trying to do if they want to contend next year, are you better off with a strictly defensive-minded catcher? A perfect example would be Martin Maldonado.
Yeah.
Right? Or somebody of that ilk. I mean, you'd love to get Tucker Barnhart, but you're not prying him free from Cincinnati.
I just watched Martin Maldonado catch Justin Verlander yesterday. I will say yes. So good.
Here's Carlos Santana hitting .230 on the year, and he takes curveball outside. Santana's walked 99 times this year, third in the National League. He's walked as many as 113 times in a season back in his Cleveland days. And he takes back-to-back curveballs out of the strike zone, and it's 2-0. Wheeler threw a higher percentage of curveballs in his last start against the Marlins than he had in any start this year. 18% curves and many fewer sliders than in the past. Pops the fastball inside. It's 3-0.
You know, you and Keith were talking about it, and then I was thinking to myself while I was watching you that sometimes the guy who is catching you loves one of your breaking balls better than the other. Maybe Nito likes the curveball of Wheeler.
And that's inside ball 4, and that's the 100th walk of the season for Carlos Santana. First walk given up by Wheeler, who has been just impeccable. That's since his winning streak began. Last 11 starts, 1.67. And the stuff has been electric.
I was talking to someone from the Phillies in the food room today. They asked me about Wheeler. I said simply, he's healthy. He's developed a split finger, which is a weapon against lefties. He feels confident, and he's been going after hitters all season long. He's just, he's everything right now that you thought you got in 2011.
And of course, the other piece is, and I don't know exactly where this comes from, whether it's the confidence or whether it's something mechanical, but he throws harder now than he did early in the season. There's Nick Williams, and he takes a fastball upstairs.
What did he say earlier in the year? He threw on 98 or 99. He said he didn't think he had it in the tank anymore. He had that pitch. Well, when you're confident and you're healthy, you can let it go. That's what he's done.
What Mickey Callaway and Dave Island call throwing a pitch with conviction. Slowly hit toward the middle. There's McNeil. Tough turn for Rosario, but he pulls it off nicely for the 4-6-3 double play. Rosario having to reach behind him for that toss from McNeil, but handles it like it's nothing. Well done by Rosario. 4-6-3 double play. 1-0 Mets. You know you've made a nice play when both the pitching coach and the infield coach come over to congratulate you. Jeff McNeil lifts one to deep left center. Should be playable for Herrera. A step from the warning track. He makes the catch. One pitch, and McNeil retired for the first out of the third. Watch what Rosario has to do here.
Well, what happens, he's so close that McNeil throws the ball too hard. So it kind of handcuffs him, and the ball was a little behind him to his left shoulder. But he was able to catch it, make the adjustment, and put enough on the throw. This ball should be to the right of Rosario, not to the left, so it leads him right across the bag and makes that transition easier. McNeil will get better at it, or has to.
Well, McNeil has gotten so much better at being in the middle of double plays. His hand action has gotten a lot quicker, but obviously that's something he needs to work.
Those are just little nuances of the game that if you haven't been taught them, it's very difficult to learn them later. But McNeil is a hard worker, so I'm sure he will. And it doesn't count, like it counted right here in this game on September 17th. What you need that play to be perfect on is on a late October evening when it's the 8th inning and you got to get out of a jam. That's why you work on those plays.
Or September 17th when you're tied for the lead in your division.
You work on those plays not to get them right. You work on those plays so someday you won't get it wrong.
Arrieta cuts one in on Conforto and gets a swing and miss, 1-2. Well, there you see the year by year for Conforto. It's been kind of up and down as far as his batting average. The home runs have certainly come back to normal lately. 14 home runs since the All-Star break. And he goes down looking on the breaking ball. And Arrieta has his second strikeout.
Well, he's been fishing for that backdoor breaking ball, and he finally found it. And Conforto was the victim.
So 2 out and nobody on. And now Todd Frazier into a fielder's choice his first time up. Again, 3 infielders on the left side against Todd. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
Now, I know Todd is from New Jersey. Would his home be closer to here or to Citi Field?
Tom's River is, I would say, closer to New York.
Okay. I don't know this part of the world very well.
It's far enough south that there may be some Philadelphia influence, but it's more New York centric.
Okay.
I mean, in his household, there were Yankee fans and Mets fans. In Al Leiter's household, there were Yankee fans and Mets fans.
What was Al? Al Met fan?
Tom's River.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, he was a Mets fan.
Great.
Yeah, so not a lot of Phillies influence. You got to go Trenton and south, probably.
Cherry Hill?
Yeah, well, Cherry Hill is right across the river from Philadelphia.
The only reason I know that is I know a lot of the Phillies players in the day lived in Cherry Hill.
One time Muhammad Ali
really
lived in Cherry Hill. 1-2 coming. And Arrieta strikes out Frazier to end the inning. Bat slam for Todd. Back-to-back strikeouts for Arrieta, his third of the day. 1-0 Mets in the third. us the hashtag SNY tweet. Let us know what you think. Certainly the hot races in the National League right now are in the West, in the wild card, and in the Central.
Well, the West is for me because of a chance for an organization to win its first title, and for a postseason without the Dodgers, maybe.
Well, the Dodgers were in first place until they got shut out by the Cardinals last night. Odubel Herrera leads off in the home third, and the Rockies regained first place by finally scoring against the Giants after getting shut out the first 2 games of that series. And it was their pitcher, Anthony Senzatella, who had the big hit. Drove in 2 of their 3 runs. Herrera fouls one away, and it's 1-1. So the West is now the Rockies by a half game, fading Arizona now 4.5 back. The Diamondbacks 4-11 in September now.
It's like Adam Wainwright got out of the hospital bed to throw shutout innings.
It's only his second start back from the disabled list after missing 4 months with an elbow problem, and he threw 6 scoreless innings. 1-1 to Herrera, and sliders at his feet 2-1, and now you got the Dodgers and Rockies going head to head the next 3 days. Rockies will have John Gray pitching tonight in Los Angeles against Hyun-Jin Ryu in the first game of that series. Herrera hitless in his last 10 bats, hitting .256 for the year. And Wheeler missing up and away, 3-1.
One thing different about Wheeler than his last start, he's been behind a lot of the hitters this evening.
He's already walked the batter. He's been walking very few lately. Didn't walk anybody in his last start against the Marlins. But this is a much more patient Philadelphia team.
You know, Ron, you say that Wheeler's been behind a lot of the batters tonight, but how about this stat that talks about the growth of Wheeler this year from years past? When he is behind hitters this season, they are hitting just .208 against him, whereas last year in those same situations, .382 with a 1331 OPS.
Great stats, Steve. It really shows to his maturity and his ability to put hitters away. You work really hard to get ahead of hitters. When you get ahead of them, make them go sit down.
Three-two coming. And Herrera fouls one away.
How about this one, Gary? On the evening of May 22nd, Odubel Herrera went to bed that night as the leader in the National League with a .345 average. Since that date, May 23rd on, he's hit .213.
What I find interesting about Herrera is that his batting average is down from last year. His home runs are up. His doubles have been cut more than in half. Last year he had 42 doubles, this year 18. Pops this one up into shallow center. Jackson got a late start. He's diving and he makes the catch. Jackson with a pretty finish to that play. Austin's jumps on balls aren't great, but he was able to make a spectacular play to take a base hit away from Herrera.
Unlike the play the other night in Fenway Park where Nimmo went back 2 or 3 steps, really what happened to Jackson is he froze as soon as the ball was hit, but didn't go back and was able to make up for it with his speed.
To be fair, it's really what Jackson does on almost every fly ball. He does not get good jumps, and you know, you're used to watching a Juan Lagares have that great first step no matter where the ball is hit. It takes Jackson a beat to figure out what the trajectory is and where he should be going. He's good at chasing fly balls after that, but that often costs him.
There's the athleticism of playing center field. There's a feel for playing great outfield, and occasionally you get both in the same package.
J.P. Crawford hitting 8th in the order. Crawford's only had 103 at bats this year. He began the year as the Phillies starting shortstop. Began the season 1 for 23, so that put him behind the 8-ball early. Then he suffered a forearm strain in late April that cost him 5 weeks. Came back, played for a little bit, then he suffered a broken hand that cost him 7 weeks. And by the time those injuries were done, first Scott Kingery And then Asdrubal Cabrera had taken over most of the shortstop play for the Phillies. So it's been, as Ronnie called it, a lost year for Crawford. Drives this one to center. Jackson has this one measured, and that's the second out. So 2 up and 2 set aside. Now Jake Arrieta, one of the best hitting pitchers in baseball, will come up. It was 2 years ago that Arrieta won the Silver Slugger in the National League. That year he had 262 with 2 home runs.
Oh, he's got tremendous power.
6 home runs for his career, including 1 this season.
I don't know if you can tell on television, folks, but Jake Arrieta looks like a football tight end that threw on a baseball uniform. I mean, he is huge.
Arrieta was one of those kids who, when he was in high school, he was overweight and undersized, and made the commitment to be the best possible physical specimen that he could be. And he was one of the, as far as I can tell in baseball, one of the early adopters for Pilates, kale juice, the things that, you know, a lot of players have adopted now over the last few years to be the best they can possibly be.
Yoga, things that players, I'm probably still snicker at occasionally, but when he started, almost every older player would have snickered at. Well, he's snickering now.
Strike 3 called, and Wheeler's got his first strikeout of the night, and a 1-2-3 bottom of the 3rd. Austin Jackson helping out Wheeler with a diving catch. Mets have a 1-0 lead after 3. At PNC Park and looking across the river at the skyline of Pittsburgh. It's a gorgeous view from that ballpark, and I could only think about our skyline and what we lost. And it was a very difficult game to get through.
Gary Cohen's 30th anniversary series presented by Spectrum continues as he takes us back to September 17th, 2001, when the Mets traveled to Pittsburgh to play their first game after the terrorist attacks on 9/11. See the full feature on SNY.TV.
4th inning, Brandon Nimmo leads off against Jake Arrieta and takes a curveball out of the strike zone. Nimmo walked and scored the only run of this game in the 2nd. It'll be Nimmo, Smith, and Jackson for the Mets in the 4th. And Nimmo pulls one down the right field line. He's got himself an extra base hit. Brandon scurries into second, losing equipment along the way, and he stands with a leadoff double. What is it that fell off him? Was that his shin guard?
It might, or his wrist, I mean his finger guard, right? Doesn't he wear a guard, something to protect his finger, because he's been hit there twice this year?
So Ruben Amaro picked up one piece of equipment and Nimmo supplies him with the other.
That means no outs, folks, when you two fists like that. Change up, split change from Arrieta after he missed with that first pitch curveball, and Nimmo was all over it.
So Brandon has his 26th double of the year, and now Dom Smith, who had a base hit to center field on an 0-2 pitch his first time up. It's now with 4 hits on the night against Arrieta, and Nimmo again getting on base to lead off an inning. It would be quite a feather in Brandon's cap if he could finish the season with an on-base percentage over 400. That is a rarely accomplished feat.
Rarefied air, you're right.
And his slugging percentage is right around 500. So if you can put together a 400-500 season, on base and slugging, you have had yourself a phenomenal year.
Yeah, Joey Votto is the guy that usually went 3-4-5.
Yeah, Votto's having more trouble getting to the 5 this year. Doesn't hit home runs the way he used to. Smith fouls one away, and it's 1-2.
Just you know, the little parts of the game that, as this game gets more and more robotic, I think the athletes are going to come into play more. And guys like Dominic Smith, this is a simple at bat, but his approach wasn't good on that pitch going the other way.
You're saying got to find something you can pull in this at bat.
He got something to hit. He got a breaking ball to pull, and he was trying to go the other way. That's just counterintuitive to what he should be thinking now. Now with 2 strikes, all bets are off. You're really just trying to put the ball in play. But before 2 strikes, that's your goal. Drive him in, pull the ball.
And at minimum, get him over to third base.
Yes.
But he goes down swinging on the fastball, and Arrieta has his 4th strikeout. That's the first out of the inning. I mean, we saw it with the Red Sox yesterday, right?
Yeah.
A tie game, 8th inning. They get a runner on second, and both hitters got the ball in the air, got the runner over, got the runner in.
I mean, it just shows, one of the reasons they have 103 wins is that they can play any kind of ball game that you want.
Here's Jackson, who doubled in a run in the second. Jackson, that was just his 6th hit in his last 45 at bats, trying to fight his way through some late season doldrums after a spectacular start as a Met. Nimmo takes off from his knees. Ramos can't get him, and Nimmo, he came off, and Cabrera tags out Nimmo. And we'll see if the Mets challenge the call. Third base umpire Manny Gonzalez waiting to make that call.
One hopped here by Cabrera.
I think he was trying to see whether Cabrera held the ball before he made the call. That's what it was.
It was.
Because as Dribble tagged him on the rear end after picking it up on the short hop.
Boy, that was a bang play, but he called him out.
And the Mets will not challenge.
That's quite a play by Cabrera.
So Nimmo's caught stealing, 2 out and nobody on. Now Jackson fouls one away.
Not only did he save his catcher an error, but he also got an out for his ball club. I mean, that's a good call by Manny Gonzalez. Yep. Now that is a call before replay that would always be called safe because the tag was too high.
Well, give the umpire credit. As Jackson takes a curveball for strike 3 called, he waited to make sure Cabrera still had the ball and made the correct call. Mets waste a leadoff double, still 1-0 Mets in the 4th. Customize your experience to catch every moment this season. Get New York Mets home screen icons and features such as MLB.tv Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today. Second time around the batting order for Zach Wheeler has faced the minimum through the first 3 innings. Cesar Hernandez popped up to short his first time up. And Wheeler quickly ahead 0-2. Phillies' only base runner came on a walk to Santana in the second. He was erased on a double play. So we've gotten a geography lesson from the truck running. You asked about Tom's River and its proximity to Philly and New York.
Yeah.
So here are the actual numbers.
Okay.
Tom's River is 58 miles from Citizens Bank Park and 90 miles from Citi Field.
Not even close.
So in terms of the ballparks, it's closer to Philly. Hernandez down on strikes. Good high fastball from Wheeler for his second strikeout. However, we did a little further investigation because, you know, when you come across the bridge from Philly on the Walt Whitman Bridge,
yes,
from New Jersey, Citizens Bank Park's the first thing you get to.
That's right.
Just across the river. So we figured, what's the first thing you get to if you're traveling from Tom's River to New York City? It would be Staten Island. Well, it's 58 miles to Philly and 57 miles to Staten Island. So Tom's River is technically closer to New York City than it is to Philadelphia.
That's the first time a guy from Queens claimed Staten Island.
Well, it is an adjunct,
Okay.
but it is a piece of the 5 boroughs, and so we're going with that.
Okay.
So Tom's River remains in the New York sphere of influence.
Okay.
Rhys Hoskins grounded out his first time up, and he nubs one foul on the slider, 1-2. Hoskins 31 home runs this year, 9th in the National League, 91 RBIs, 8th in the league. Now has 49 career home runs with his spectacular 50-game stretch last year. This is his 190th career Major League game. Looking for his 50th home run. But he goes down on strikes, and Wheeler has back-to-back strikeouts. Good splitter to get him. So Wheeler has struck out his last 3 batters, 2 out in the inning.
You know, I've seen him use a splitter against right-handed hitters. I haven't seen him get the swing and misses that he has started to get against the right-handed hitters. So there's a little more break on that pitch than before.
You know, it seemed when he first started throwing the splitter that when he was looking to get more movement, he was throwing a straight change.
Yeah.
Because it's a little slower but drops a little more. But now I'm not sure if he's even throwing the straight change at this point or if he's just kind of hybrided the 2 pitches.
Yeah, well, the thing about the split finger is that it will always evolve. So he could start out as a fastball that drops a little, but as you get more and more comfortable with the feel, you can morph it from a split finger to a fork ball, which would be more of a break on it, depending on what you want to do with the pitch. It's like any other breaking ball. You can modify it.
Cabrera pops one up. Rosario into shallow center, calling all the way. And that retires the side. A dominant inning for Wheeler, who hasn't allowed a hit through the first 4. 1-2-3 with a couple of strikeouts. Still 1-0 New York. Just a gorgeous centerpiece for this city on the road in Philadelphia, presented by Old Dominion. Some of the facts of Philadelphia. In addition to that, do you know that today is the 231st anniversary of the signing of the Constitution?
That's right.
Here in Philadelphia at Constitution Hall, not to be confused with Constitution Mall.
Two different places.
Right. September 17th, 1787. It's a big day.
The biggest day,
yeah,
you could argue.
I mean, Declaration of Independence was big. Took them 11 years to get to the Constitution.
That's right.
Probably bigger.
Yeah.
Because you could have stumbled along the way. Could have lost to the Redcoats. Any number of things could have happened.
There are a few skirmishes during that time.
Tomas Nido leading off in the 5th inning. Nido grounded out to short his first time up. Wheeler and Rosario to follow against Arrieta, who yielded a run in the 2nd after a leadoff walk. Surrendered a leadoff double in the 4th, but was able to work through it with Nimmo caught stealing 3rd. Arrieta has struck out 5, and Nido fouls it off. And still 2-2. If the Phillies fall short in the National League East this year, the Mets are going to be at least partially culpable. Mets have won 10 and lost 6 against the Phillies this year, but they've gotten used to doing that. Nido takes one the other way, and he's got a base hit. So Tomas Nido with a 2-strike hit, and the Mets have a leadoff base runner in the 5th.
Well, Nido's swing is a long swing. It's a level swing, and the ball away is the one he can handle. Hitting the ball the other way is his strength.
So now Wheeler will come up and be asked to bunt. So with the Mets having already clinched the season series against the Phillies this year, winning 10 of 16, it's the 7th straight year that the Mets have beaten the Phillies in the season series. And that's remarkable enough. What I would not have realized is it's their longest streak of winning the season series against any team in Mets history. They had never won the season series from any team 7 straight years until now.
Wow.
And if you think about how the Phillies used to beat up on the Mets during their great run when they won 5 straight divisions, as Wheeler tries the butcher boy and misses, it's quite a turnaround. That's the streak. Well, 7 years.
I mean, there was a period in the last few seasons where the Mets would just come in here and just outslug the Phillies, home run after home run.
Well, they set the club record with an 8 home run game here as Wheeler takes one up the middle, and he's got a 2-strike hit. Nido around 2nd. He's going to go to 3rd. Williams' throw is cut off. So back-to-back 2-strike hits from the 8 and 9 hitters, and the Mets have 1st and 3rd and nobody out. 11th hit of the year for Zach Wheeler.
Well, that's the 2nd 0-2 hit that Arrieta has allowed, and this one to the pitcher who was just trying to give you an out with the bunt on the first pitch. But nice job by Wheeler, who's the silver slugger, at least of the Mets staff.
Don't need no stinking sacrifice. So 1st and 3rd and nobody out. A chance for the Mets to tack on to their 1-0 lead with Ahmed Rosario at the plate. Rosario's been up twice, grounded out both times. Infield back at double play depth. They'll concede a run to try and get 2 outs. And Rosario fouls off the cutter, 0-1.
Well, the Mets left Arrieta out of a hole, 2nd and 3rd with no outs. 1 run across, and they didn't push any run across, so they're going to have to do it here.
That was with the lower part of the order coming up. Now they've got the top of the order with 1st and 3rd. And Rosario slams one to right. Williams in front of it makes the catch. Nido tags. He'll come in to score on the sacrifice fly by Ahmed Rosario, and it's 2-0 New York. 49th RBI for Rosario, who hit that ball hard.
We talked about the Dominic Smith at bat, just the opposite here. A real good idea by Rosario on what he was trying to do, and that was hit the ball in the air. He got a high fastball and got on top of it and hit a line drive to right field to produce his 49th RBI. Good going, Ahmed.
So now don't blink because Jeff McNeil is up. He's seen one pitch in each of his first 2 at bats.
That's right.
Single to left center in the first, flied out to left center in the third. And McNeil went around on that cutter at his feet, 0-1. And it's interesting, after watching the Red Sox and several other teams play McNeil to pull, the Phillies, who shift more than just about anybody, don't. They play him more straight up, which would seem to make sense, considering he's a guy who uses the whole field. And Arrieta goes upstairs and gets ahead 0-2. McNeil through 176 at bats has only struck out 17 times. He puts this in play, hooks it toward the right field corner, and that ball is down for an extra base hit. Wheeler will go to third, McNeil to second, and Jeff McNeil with another 2-strike hit, the third of the inning for the Mets. And they've got second and third with 1 out.
Another 0-2 hit. Trying to have a backdoor cutter or slider by Arrieta. He lives at middle. And the one thing we haven't talked about McNeil is not only his ability to swing first pitch and get hits, but he's a good bat ball hitter too.
Yep. Well, we've seen him go to left field on a pitch away out of the strike zone, and there able to drop the bat head on it, and the ball down and in. So now second and third and 1 out. The infield comes in for Conforto. Mets already had 2-0 in the 5th. And Michael rips a base hit into right center, and that'll bring in 2. Wheeler scores. McNeil right behind him. It's a 2-run single from Michael Conforto, and it's 4-0 New York. Well, after 3 2-strike hits, Conforto jumps on the first offering from Arrieta, a cutter right in the middle of the plate.
Boy, this is a good looking offensive inning for the Mets. A little bit of everything from the bottom, and then when you get the big hammer in there, the two-run base hit. Watch McNeil with the read. Infield's in. He knows it's a base hit. Now put your head down, pick up your coach Sherlock. There you go.
So the Mets have pushed 3 runs across against Arrieta here in the 4th, and for a Mets team that had scored only 1 run in 2 starts against Arrieta this year, this feels like a cornucopia.
An outstanding job against an outstanding pitcher.
So the Phillies will get their bullpen cranking, and here's Frazier trying to keep it going. Luis Avilan, the veteran left-hander, is up. Frazier's 0 for 2. And he takes inside ball 1. Frazier's bounced into a forced play and struck out. And he lines one over short for a base hit. Conforto turns second. He'll continue on to third. Frazier trying for 2. Hoskins throw. The tag by Hernandez, and Frazier's out at second. Todd getting a little overly aggressive, trying to take the extra base against Hoskins. He's got the 5th hit of the inning, but he's gunned down for the 2nd out.
Well, first, the good hitting by Frazier, a bullet over the shortstop. All season long, they've been trying to take advantage of this defense of the Phillies, but Frazier doesn't have enough speed to turn that into a double. So he's out at second.
Tried the old okey doke by pulling the right hand away, but the left hand never got to the bag.
You got to grow up closer to New York.
He had too much Philly on that slide. Is that what you're saying? Now Nimmo fouls one off.
You know, inside 50 miles, he probably gets that done. But
Nimmo with a walk and a double tonight has that on base percentage up to .398. Last Met to finish the season over 400 on base percentage was Carlos Beltran in 2009, but he was not a qualifier that year. Didn't have enough plate appearances. The last to do it in a full season was David Wright, 2007.
I can understand his reasoning here is because of Hoskins as a first baseman playing the outfield. I don't think Hoskins had any intent or knowledge that Frazier was trying to go to second. He just threw the ball in. Happened to work out.
Arrieta gets changeup in for a strike, and it's 1-2 to Nimmo. When we're trying to explain to Todd, you just have to be a little faster. 1-2 coming, and Nimmo fouls off another changeup. Five hits in the inning for New York. They've scored 3 times. Officially, they're 5 for 5 in the inning. 2 outs coming on a sacrifice fly and an out on the bases. Very hard for a team to bat 1,000 in a full inning. You'd have to have, you know, Conforto picked off third or caught stealing home in order for that to happen. Now, Dom Smith would be next. Third pitch of the inning coming up for Arrieta. And Nimmo goes down on strikes to end the inning. 6 strikeouts for Arrieta, but the Mets score 3 in the 5th and lead 4-0 halfway through. Yes, 4-0 New York. Jeff McNeil right in the middle of that 3-run inning.
Well, with 2 strikes, you're just trying to put the ball in play. Look at that follow through. I mean, barely gets that bat. Really just trying to make contact, almost playing Pepper, if anyone remembers that game, of just putting the ball in play.
Off the glove of the diving McNeil, and that'll be the first Philadelphia hit against Zach Wheeler. Wilson Ramos with a hot shot. McNeil, who's made some spectacular plays of late, unable to snag that one, and Wilson Ramos is aboard.
He had it. It popped out of his glove. Oh, it hit just right on the thumb. He didn't catch it in the pocket. And you could see he was angry, and he knew what it meant. So I'm looking at that follow-through we showed you of McNeil, and hopefully Mets fans will hold their anger. But this is the conversation I had today with Larry Bowa, one of my good friends, a guy that I will ask about baseball players all the time because I believe what he has to say. He said McNeil reminds him of when Utley was very, very young in his career.
Santana drives one to right. Nimmo comes over to grab it for the first out.
I said, he goes, how about this McNeil kid? He looks nice. I said, well, you know, we just don't see that many players like him. Put the ball in with 2 strikes and all. He goes, I had Utley when he was a young kid. Reminds me a lot about McNeil. Yeah, interesting.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, right? So it's a nice thing to hear.
Sign up for that right now.
I mean, you know, McNeil's a little older version of it, but folks, that's always a good thing. Even however you feel about Utley, he was a great player.
One out and one on, each hitter putting the first pitch in play to start this 5th inning against Wheeler, and both hitting it hard. And now Nick Williams steps in. Williams bounced into a double play his first time up. Well, McNeil with 2 more hits today keeps his batting average well over 300. There just aren't that many 300 hitters left in the game these days. Mookie Betts leading the majors in hitting. Scooter Gennett at 318 leading the National League in hitting. And that's the first of only 2 pages of 300 hitters in baseball this year. It's not quite 1968. That's lined the other way off the glove of Frazier and into left field, and Williams has a base hit. So 3 hits in the inning, or 3 hard hit balls in the inning, 2 of them off Met gloves for hits.
Well, he's in the ready position, ball scalded on the nose, and just gets by Frazier. More serving as a hockey goalie than a third baseman there, and just missed it.
Well, they call it the hot corner.
That's right.
And a little rain has begun to fall. This is not yet an official game. Phillies need to complete their turn at bat here in the 5th in order for it to be. Wheeler, meanwhile, with 12 consecutive scoreless innings under his belt, and that may be in jeopardy here as they've begun to measure him here in the 5th. 1st and 2nd and 1 out, and Odubel Herrera, who had a pop fly into shallow center that Austin Jackson made a diving catch on in the 3rd. Here's page 2 of your 300 hitter list. I'm assuming these are guys who have enough at bats to qualify, right? So Wilson Ramos, for instance, is hitting .314, didn't quite make the list.
I did not have Malik Smith at 300. How about you?
It's a nice year for Tampa Bay, under the radar, as is that entire team.
Whit Merrifield now has put 2 really good seasons together for the Kansas City Royals.
Slider by Wheeler, and he's ahead on Herrera 0-2. Well, we mentioned 1968. That was the year with the fewest 300 hitters. There was only 1 in the American League that year. Carlos Yastrzemski had 301.
That's right.
To lead the American League. Most was 1930, in which the entire National League hit 300 that year. The league batting average was 300 in 1930. They didn't raise the mound or anything, did they?
Did they take away the spitball?
No, that was 1920. Signed to Herrera, it's 1-2. But you know, when they took away the spitball, they grandfathered it in.
Yes.
So the guys who threw the spitball were allowed to throw it for the remainder of their careers.
Nothing like being grandfathered in to cheat. I love it. Dusty Wathan, third base coach for the Phillies.
1-2 to Herrera with J.P. Crawford on deck. And Herrera is hit by the pitch, and that'll load the bases. And that stung.
They're asking right now if he swung. Third base umpire said no.
Got him on the back arm, right near that left elbow. Right on the elbow.
Usually call that the funny ball. Nothing funny about that.
Humorous.
Very good.
Herrera's okay.
You know, in watching Wheeler's last start and then watching this start, I think, what'd you say, 22% curveballs? This game has been totally different. He's really just gone with hard stuff against this Phillies team. And now it is kind of wreaking havoc in this inning because they haven't seen anything but hard stuff. So they have made an adjustment, this Philadelphia team.
So now J.P. Crawford comes up with the bases loaded. Crawford hit the ball hard his first time up, lined out to center field. Ramos, very slow runner. Williams, average speed. Herrera, pretty quick. On the bases for the Phillies. Mets will keep the infield back at double play depth. And Crawford takes a changeup outside for ball one. So there is the straight change. He does still throw it. Justin Bour out on deck. He'll bat for Jake Arrieta. So Arrieta apparently done after 5, having given up 4 runs and 9 hits. And now the Phillies trying to get him back in the game. And Crawford fouls back the high fastball, and it's 1-1. J.P. Crawford, just 23 years old, Lakewood, California native, same high school as
Travis d'Arnaud?
Travis d'Arnaud.
Okay. Mike Fitzgerald, old Mets catcher, who's traded for Gary Carter, did the Expos from that part of the world.
Curveball pulled down to first and down the line. That'll bring in 2 and maybe 3. Ramos scores. Williams scores. Herrera to third. He's being waved around, and he will score. It's a bases clearing triple for J.P. Crawford. And the Phillies are right back in this. It's 4-3.
Hanging breaking ball, the curveball we were talking about before, and just shoots it past Dom Smith, who was playing way off the line, so couldn't get to it. No chance to get to that. Watch Herrera as he gets close to third. Kind of shuffles his feet. He wasn't sure what. Coach was not there. He was waving the previous runner. I guess he just assumed Herrera would know he was going to score.
Crawford with his second triple of the year. Drives in his 10th, 11th, and 12th runs. And Zach Wheeler, who had thrown 12 consecutive scoreless innings, 8 against the Marlins and the first 4 tonight, all of a sudden has gotten tagged here in the 5th. And now Justin Bour with the tying run at third will come up to pinch hit for Arrieta. Bour's had just 35 at bats for the Phillies. He's also spent a stint on the disabled list since they got him from the Marlins. Infield back. The Mets will concede the tying run, and that hits Bour, and so Wheeler hits his second batter of the inning. Well, if he wanted to set up the double play possibility, he could have just intentionally walked him.
Yeah. Well, this is an inning that we used to see a lot from Zach. Inability to throw the ball where he wants. Bour now will go to the bench and be pinch run for.
Dylan Cousins will come in to pinch run, carrying the go-ahead run in this game. So now first and third and 1 out with 3 runs home in the inning, and Cesar Hernandez will be the batter, and the Mets will hope to get a ground ball to get Wheeler through this mess. Hernandez has popped up and struck out so far tonight, and the Mets get some stirring around up in their bullpen. Nobody throwing as of yet, but that may change in a moment.
I personally would like to hold on to the ball here for a good 1-2 count and then throw to first. I just want to see if Hernandez tips his hand first and third, 1 out. You know, these are safety squeeze times in baseball nowadays.
He takes a changeup outside, ball 1. So Wheeler, who was in firm command over the first 4 innings of this game, all of a sudden having this thing get away from him quickly. It took just 12 pitches for the Phillies to get through the first 5 batters of the inning. So they've been very aggressive with Wheeler here in the 5th. And strike call to Hernandez, 1-1. Mentioned at the outset that Nick Galloway talked about keeping a close eye on Wheeler in the wake of him tiring in his last start. And the Mets get the bullpen up now. Jerry Blevins beginning to throw. It's yanked foul into the netting, and it's 1-2. There's Blevins. Interesting call with Hoskins on deck, a right-hand hitter, and Cabrera, a switch hitter behind him. Then it's Blevins on call in the 5th inning. Wheeler ahead on Hernandez, 1-2. He fouls it away. Hernandez is a guy who gets on base a lot, but he also strikes out a lot. 143 strikeouts this year, top 10 in the league.
Especially up in the strike zone. That's where he struck out in his 2nd at bat.
Wheeler has struck out only 3 tonight. Hoskins waiting on deck. 1-2 coming. And Hernandez lifts one to left. Conforto measures it. Crawford tagging at 3rd. Crawford coming home. Conforto's throw coming home. Not in time. And the Phillies have tied the game. And down to 2nd goes Cousins as Conforto couldn't hit the cutoff man. So it's a sacrifice fly for Hernandez. And the Phillies have scored 4 here in the 5th to get even.
Well, first, no way Conforto is going to throw the runner out Crawford at home. So just hit Frazier, and you got the runner Cousins at 2nd base, because he was tagging all the way, Cousins, and he was proceeding to 2nd to ensure that run would score. So that would have been an easy out for the Mets. Instead, they still have a runner on.
And they've got the go-ahead run in scoring position with 2 out for Rhys Hoskins, the 8th man up in the inning. Hoskins has grounded out and struck out 0 for 2.
Now, conventional wisdom, if you're Cousins, would be not to tag up on that ball, because there's no way they can throw him out, and let Rhys Hoskins get an at bat and maybe hit a 2-run homer. So that was opportune by the Phillies, but not a great base running. Great base running because the Mets didn't hit the cutoff man.
Frazier tried his best to make it look as though he could reach that ball, but he never had a chance for it.
Well, Cousins at first base has a great angle. He can see if the ball's going to be high or low. It's those little things that, as you try to get your team to be a professional championship team, they do those things.
So now Hoskins has driven in 91 runs this year to lead the Phillies. Takes a curveball inside for ball 1. Wheeler, who had such an ability to throw that curveball wherever he wanted it, throw it for a strike whenever he wanted it in his last start. It's just not there tonight. Phillies had 3 hits all in this inning to produce 4 runs. 1-1 to Hoskins. 2 base hits off Met gloves got the Phillies started in this inning. Ramos lined one off the glove of a diving McNeil, and Williams lined one off Frazier's glove. That set the stage. Herrera was hit by a pitch, and Crawford cleared the bases with a 3-run triple. Backhanded by Nito, and it's 2-1 to Hoskins. Dribble Cabrera would be next. Evans ready if needed in the Mets bullpen as Ricky Bonas waves the towel. The universal signal for the pitchers ready.
Well, my fighter's done. One or the other.
Well, that's throwing the towel. You don't want to throw the towel if you're the bullpen coach. Throw down to 2nd by Nito, and it goes by McNeil, but Cousins will stay put.
Well, I've seen one thing. Nito likes to throw the ball around the infield.
And they called interference on Rhys Hoskins, and that's going to end the inning. So they call Hoskins for interfering with the throw of Nito. And that's how this inning comes to an end. Falling across the plate. Got in the catcher's path. And the home plate umpire, Jeff Nelson, calls Hoskins out for batter interference. You can see the arm hitting the shoulder of Hoskins. Phillies tie it with 4 in the 5th. Soto.
That's right.
Who is going to be the big prospect who came up. Luis Avilan comes in for the Phillies in a tie game in the 6th.
Well, Avilan appeared in 58 games for the White Sox before he was traded for Felix Paulino. He's always been great against left-handed hitters. Had some great years in 13, 14, and 15 with the Atlanta Braves.
I saw plenty of him during his Atlanta days. Dominic Smith leading off in the 6th inning. The Mets have seen a 4-0 lead disappear in a hurry. Dom at a base hit to help build a run in the 2nd. Then he struck out in the 4th, 1 for 2 against Arrieta, who's done after 5 innings. Now off the hook after the Phillies tied the game. Game 2 of this series tomorrow night. Mets will have Steven Matz on the mound against the Phillies ace Aaron Nola, so the Mets can help out Jacob deGrom if they can knock Nola around a little bit. Noah Syndergaard goes Wednesday night against Zach Eflin as you check out the city probables.
The home runs have piled up for Nola in his last 4 starts.
Good changeup by Avilan. It's 2-2. I haven't seen the rotation yet, but the Mets might get Scherzer on Thursday in Washington as well. So if they might get a crack at both Nola and Scherzer this week to help deGrom out. And he goes right back to the changeup to strike out Smith for the first out in the 6th. He's a left-hander who loves to use his changeup against lefties.
When he first came up, he was more fastball breaking ball, but it's been his changeup that is his signature pitch and one of the few he'll throw this evening.
Gabe Kapler out to take the baseball with a right-hand batter coming up. Avilan has done his work for the night. Phillies have 15 relievers, and Kapler may be setting about to use them all. 4-4 game in the 6th. Next man in will be Victor Arano. Called to the bullpen, brought to you by Victor Arano in to face Austin Jackson and misses away for ball 1.
Arano came up last year, disappeared in 10 games, but he's been up here full season. He's been outstanding.
23-year-old from Mexico, from a town whose name I wouldn't even try to pronounce. I mean, it's got so many letters.
Does it have an X in it? Because when they have X's
no, there's
in
no
it.
X. I can do the X's.
Oh,
like
you can.
Jalapa?
Yeah.
I can do that.
Okay.
Oaxaca?
Yeah.
I'm good at that.
Okay.
But this one's hard. Cosamaloapan. It's too many syllables.
Okay.
2 and 1. Cosamaloapan.
Here you go. You got
I
it.
don't know if I got the accents in the right place.
Well, I'm sure.
But those are all the letters.
I'm sure someone will tell you.
Sure. You think we have a lot of audience in Cosamaloapan? Well, maybe when Victor Arano pitches. Lifted foul off the right side. That'll go out of play, and it's 2 and 2. We had a little rain falling before. There's rain in the forecast of a more significant nature coming along. 4-4 game in the 6th, which means that it's an official game.
Officially tied.
Right. So if it were stopped, it would have to be concluded at a later date. 3 and 2 to Jackson with Tomas Nido on deck.
Running out of games, Gary.
Well, there's a game tomorrow.
Oh, that's right.
Jake Arrieta went 5 innings, allowed 4 runs, 9 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, 81 pitches, no decision for Arrieta. 3-2 from Arano to Jackson. Crawford throws out Jackson, 2 away. And now a quick message from City.
Think fast. It's your thing. What? Do what you want to do.
To me, it's always a good day if you've heard a snippet from the Isley brothers.
Oh, outstanding.
You know, they make you want to shout.
Not from here, right? Isley Brothers from Chicago?
I thought the Isley brothers were a
Philly band. Maybe they are. Maybe they are. I always thought Chicago. I don't know why.
Nido pops one up in foul ground. Santana has room, and that retires the side. So Arano comes in to get 2 outs to finish off a 1-2-3 inning for the Philly bullpen. Still 4-4 in the 6th. playoff race you deem to be the most exciting. NL Central, Cubs, Brewers, Cardinals. Cardinals pretty much on the outs there, although they're in the wild card race. Yankees, A's. The race is only for the home field. Well, yeah. It's always good to win by 20.
Oh, jeez.
Cardinals leading the Braves. That was 3-0. Now 3-2.
Well, the NL Central had 3 teams in it that one year. The Brewers, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and St. Louis, right? They all won over. No, Chicago. The Brewers weren't in it. Chicago, St. Louis, and the Bucks.
And Wheeler hits another batter. He gets Cabrera in the foot. So Wheeler has now hit 3 of the last 6 batters with pitches. And that'll put the tie-breaking run aboard. And we're going to get a pinch runner for Cabrera. Scott Kingery will come in and run for him. This is crazy. I mean, Wheeler had hit only 6 batters all season, and he's now hit 3 of the last 6 batters.
I told you in break that I thought that Zach just lost his concentration before last inning, and it's continued here.
So Kingery runs for Cabrera. And undoubtedly will stay in on the infield. And Wilson Ramos will be the batter. Ramos had the first hit for the Phillies, leading off in the 5th inning. He had one that went off the glove of McNeil for a base hit into right, and that got the whole shebang started on a 4-run inning for Philadelphia. Jerry Blevins, who was up in the last inning, gets up again. You got the switch hitter Santana on deck, and then the left-hand batting Nick Williams. And Ramos shoots one foul, 0-1. Here's your AT&T achieving more stats. Zach Wheeler stumbled a bit in his start in against the Dodgers, gave up a couple of home runs, but did not stumble at all his last time out against the Marlins.
That road and home splits are just crazy to me, because usually they're probably the other way around for most pitchers.
Well, especially when you pitch at Citi Field, which has been such a hard place for the Mets to hit, not necessarily the opposition. Kingery runs, and Ramos fouls it off. Has 10 stolen bases on the year. Same Scott Kingery, who was in the starting lineup for the Phillies on Saturday, but never came to bat because Gabe Kapler pinch hit for him in the 2nd inning.
Kapler with a Frank Howard. So Frank do that to Jose Oquendo once.
When Oquendo was 19 years old.
That's right.
Slowly hit. Tough play. Who's going to get it? Rosario will get the out at first. With Ramos running, he had enough time to make that play, but Kingery now at second base. So runner in scoring position, and the towel is out again, which means Blevins is ready again. He waves the towel, but the bottle of water never leaves Ricky's hand.
Mickey just gave him a thumbs up. I see you, Ricky. Yeah, I see you.
I mean, is the phone broken? There's a phone right there on the wall.
We'll be playing the telephone game by the end of the year.
So here's Santana, who's walked and lined out to right. The walk for Santana was his 100th of the season. Becomes the first Philly to walk 100 times in a year since Pat Burrell in 2008. But here's a better story. Santana's OPS is 760, I believe. So the last Philly to walk 100 times with a lower OPS, you have to go back to Roy Thomas, who did that in 1904. So in one respect, Santana's had a very successful season. In another respect, not so much. Taken inside 2-1. He does have 23 home runs, 82 runs driven in, but he's hitting just .230. His overall numbers significantly down from his last couple of years in Cleveland. He fouls off the slider, and it's 2-2. Let's check out the Spectrum high-speed pitch. Who are we judging Wheeler against, the starter or the reliever?
The starter, Arrieta.
Not a fair fight.
You know, when Carlos Santana first came up, I thought he was going to be a special player because he was a switch-hitting catcher.
Then they moved him to third and then to first.
So maybe when Cleveland traded Mejia, a switch-hitting catcher, who they're not sure that will be his #1 position, is because they've seen it before.
I mean, the Francisco Mejia, who had a walk-off grand slam for the Padres yesterday.
That's right.
Tyler Batchelor up alongside Blevins as Santana fouls back the fastball.
I mean, I know the Mets had the tomato patches in the day. That is about as pretty a bullpen can get.
Seems as though they have bloomed as the season has moved along. I don't recall them being quite as lush the last time we were here. Three-two coming, and he walked him again. That's 101 walks for Santana, and the second of the night for Wheeler.
Well, if you're going to use Blevins, you would use him here.
Well, don't you remember earlier this season there was a spot where Blevins was ready to go and they didn't bring him in,
and they stayed with Sewald.
Sewald, and Nick Williams hit the big home run.
3-run bomb.
Perhaps Mickey's being reminded of that right now.
Interesting. See, Nick Williams was looking into the Mets dugout to see if they were going to make a change. No change.
Well, Blevins has been up twice, but still cool in his heels. Williams has grounded into a double play and singled off Frazier's glove, 1 for 2. So Wheeler, who faced 8 batters and gave up 4 runs in the 5th, now in trouble again in the 6th. First and second, 1 out. Williams now has 3 hits and 5 career at-bats against Wheeler. He fouls off the fastball, 0-1. By the way, the Isley brothers,
yes,
neither Chicago nor Philadelphia. Born in Cincinnati, moved to Teaneck, New Jersey.
Teaneck?
And then went and recorded for Motown in Detroit.
Well, then that makes a little sense.
Got it completely wrong. And that one trickles behind Nito, and the runners will move up. Now, it'll be a wild pitch, but it looked like a ball that Nito should have stopped and went through the 5-hole.
Tried to catch it instead of block it. It's always the first mistake a catcher will make. Block first, don't try to catch it. Wild pitch.
So that puts the go-ahead run at third. Let's see how the Mets decide to play their infield here. We've got second and third and 1 out. And they're playing basically halfway. 1-1 and a fastball away. Again, this whole notion of holding the runner at third, which nobody did in baseball ever until this year.
Trying to stop them completely from going on contact. A good base runner does none of that.
Kingery at third, Santana at second with 1 out. And Williams bounces the curveball foul, and it's 2-2. Wheeler in a spot where he could really use a strikeout. He has not had his strikeout pitch tonight. He's only struck out 3 over the first 5 1/3. Didn't allow a hit for the first 4 innings, but it has imploded on him in these last 2. A hit batsman, a walk, and a wild pitch who put 2 in scoring position in the 6th. 2-2. Got him looking. There's a big strikeout for Wheeler as he picks off the inside corner to get Williams 2 down.
Big out, big take by Williams. Great concentration by Wheeler. I really feel he's lost some of that concentration in the last couple of innings, but he really bore down on Williams here.
Not much to complain about. Well, you got first base open. You got Herrera up. J.P. Crawford, who had the big 3-run triple, on deck. Who do you want to pitch to?
I wouldn't want to pitch to Herrera. I'd rather pitch to Crawford. And I know you're going to say he had a triple before. He's not in the same hitting class as Herrera to me.
I'm with you. Herrera has flied out to center and been hit by a pitch 0 for 1. Second and third and 2 out. And Herrera gets one in the air to right. Nimmo comes in a few strides, and that retires the side. So Wheeler able to pitch himself out of trouble in the 6th. And that keeps this game tied. Phillies strand 2 in scoring position. It's 4-4 going to the 7th. Floral arrangements in the bullpen, and we're kind of flower ignorant, so a second Toyota tweet of the game is necessary. Okay. We're asking you if you are any kind of garden person, botanist. Could you please let us know what kind of flowers those are?
I wish my mother was watching us, because she would know straight away. I wouldn't say, I think they're fixated on the flowers.
Now, I know that your mother tends to watch the Red Sox games rather than ours, but they're off tonight. So why is she not watching?
9:05 at my house. That's late.
Zach Wheeler's going to stay in the bat in the 7th. Yeah, I know how that works.
Yeah.
Changes for the Phillies. Scott Kingery, who pinch ran, stays in it short. J.P. Crawford moves to third, and Tommy Hunter is pitching in the 7th inning. And Wheeler fouls one off the catcher Ramos, and it's 0-2.
Remember when the Phillies were in Citi Field, Hunter came in to save a game. He's had a solid season for the Phils this year. One of their free agent signings.
Wheeler had a base hit in the Mets' 3-run 5th inning. Came around to score a run. His 11th hit of the season. It leads the staff. And he goes around in a half swing on a fastball away, and he is out on strikes to start the 7th. Surprised Wheeler got that turn at bat.
Did. I am, especially after what you intimated to me is that they would, you know, and I kind of knew this myself, they would try to watch his innings as he goes down the line here. But
especially after all of the pitches that he made under stress in the last 2 innings. You'd figure 83 pitches after 89 in the last start when he took himself out after 8, that was probably going to be it.
Yeah. Maybe they're trying to get him a win. It's 12 would be a career high. I don't know.
Rosario drove in a run with a sacrifice fly in the 5th.
Oh, wins don't count. Forgot.
Well, I don't know if they don't count, but what we're saying is that they don't matter. Taken the other way, and Rosario's got a base hit. I mean, they still count wins in the standings, right? That's how you like win championships and all that.
So far.
Let's check in with the studio. Doug Williams has another game break brought to you by nobody. Come on. Hey, Doug. Thank you, Doug. See, it was brought to us by Doug.
That's good enough.
Very handily. So the Mets have a 1-out base runner, and here's Jeff McNeil, who already has 2 hits tonight, a single and a double. Now hitting .333 in the big leagues. That's good, right?
Very good.
Even though batting average doesn't matter, just like wins.
I still count batting average. I think it's important to go with all the other numbers.
Rosario gets chased back. Crawford at third base playing in against McNeil. It's hard to envision the Mets asking him to bunt with his ability to manipulate the bat. Hit and run play would be nice.
Could certainly do that. Wouldn't do it first pitch.
There goes Rosario, a straight steal, and with Ramos dropping the ball, Rosario steals the base, his 19th of the year. And the Mets have the go-ahead run in scoring position.
One thing we noticed, though, is that Mr. Rosario is not afraid to go early in the count. Had a very tiny lead. And got a great jump.
And you have to note this. Unlike his mentor, Jose Reyes, who even in his best base stealing years liked to wait till later in the count to steal.
Well, later in the count, you're going to get a breaking ball, so it makes it a little easier.
McNeil pops one foul. So I think that's an interesting point, because you know so much of the way Rosario has crafted his game has been watching Reyes, but that's one thing he's done very differently.
Well, I like that. It gives gives your 2 hitters here a couple opportunities with a almost full count of pitches to drive them in.
1-1 to McNeil, and he hits this one out to right. And Williams steadies to make the catch. Rosario tags, heads to third. Williams' throw arrives too late. 2 out, and the Mets have the go-ahead run at third. And Michael Conforto will try and get him in. Michael drove in a pair of runs with a 5th inning single. He's 1 for 3 on the night after a 2 for 4 day with an RBI yesterday. 71 runs batted in now for Conforto, the club leader. Tommy Hunter, the 4th Phillies pitcher of the night. And Conforto takes a cutter for a strike. Conforto has 13 career home runs against the Phillies, more than he has against any other team.
And I don't like this matchup for the Phillies. Hunter against Conforto, despite the 2 outs.
There's that cutter inside. It's 2-1. Conforto 0 for 2 in his career against Hunter. Trying to pick up Rosario from third with 2 out. And he drives one foul. Two coming. Up and in. Full count. Got Todd Frazier standing on deck. Nobody up in the Phillies bullpen. See how Hunter chooses to attack here with a base to play with. And Conforto drives one into right field. That's down for a base hit, and the Mets regain the lead. Rosario is in to score. Conforto into second base with his second hit and his third RBI of the night. Got a 3-2 cutter, and he delivers the run to put the Mets in front 5-4.
Just didn't like this matchup. You got a hard thrower. Throws a little cutter here to Conforto. Yes, he gets it a little off the end of the bat, but that matchup certainly in the Mets' favor.
So the Mets had a 4-0 lead, watched it disappear, and now Conforto puts them back in front. And now Frazier is 1 for 3 tonight, and he takes a fastball for ball 1. It's now with 11 hits on the night. So Conforto with his second straight 2-hit game. Now has 72 runs batted in. And the Phillies will get somebody else up in the bullpen now, with Hunter having yielded a run here in the 7th. So Anthony Dominguez beginning to throw. And Frazier drives one out to left field, but Hoskins is there, and that retires the side. Frazier got it down off the end of the bat, but the Mets cash a run on the Conforto double. 7th inning stretch time, 5-4 New York. Zach Wheeler with the lead as he takes them out for the bottom of the 7th. J.P. Crawford flies one toward the left field line. Conforto eases over, puts it away. 1 pitch and 1 out for Wheeler in the bottom of the 7th. The Week 2 grades are in for every Jets position. Get a complete breakdown of how each unit performed in yesterday's disheartening home opener loss on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports.
Oh, you're paying a lot of attention.
So now Roman Quinn will pinch hit for the Phillies.
Saw a lot of Quinn over there in Citi Field when the Phillies were in town.
When he's been healthy, he's been very effective this year. Got some starts recently, but he was out with a foot injury for a little while after fouling a ball off. What is that?
They called it a no visit because he went out to discuss the new hitter.
Offensive substitution, so no visit.
I'm embarrassed that I had to say. I'm embarrassed that I had to say that out loud.
It was such an emphatic gesture that Jeff Nelson made. I thought it was something serious had happened.
Someone forfeited the game?
I mean, really? So Quinn, the switch hitter, batting left-handed, takes outside for ball 1. Wheeler falls behind 2-0. Zach had walked only 2. He struck out only 4. He's allowed only 3 hits, but they were all bunched in the 5th inning when the Phillies scored all 4 of their runs. J.P. Crawford, the big hit, a 3-run triple. And Quinn taking all the way, 2-1. Drew Smith up in the Mets bullpen. Wheeler trying to get through 7 for the 12th time in his last 16 starts. We showed that graphic earlier. In his first 79 big league starts, he went 7 innings only 9 times. Now he's done it 11 of the last 15. Having turned an enormous corner this year. But he walks Quinn. That's his 3rd walk of the night. And now the tying run is aboard with the speedy Quinn. Today, First Data shipped its 1 millionth Clover device in market. Hard work pays off. Congrats to First Data and Clover on achieving this amazing milestone. Keep striving for greatness. Hashtag 1 million Clovers. I think Ronnie's as befuddled as I am. Here's Cesar Hernandez, who delivered a sacrifice fly his last time up. Quinn's got a lot of speed. He takes a healthy lead at first, and Wheeler holds it, and time is called. I mean, normally when I read those spots, I at least have some concept of what it is that I'm talking about.
What language were you speaking there?
I have no idea. I just read what they put in front of me, but often I have some concept. This time I really had no idea what those words meant.
You're able usually to sell whatever is put in front of you.
Well, I thought I did a really good job of that.
You did a horrible job because I had no idea what you were talking about.
You want me to read it again?
I'm going to bring that home with me to figure it out.
First Data shipped their 1 millionth Clover device.
Okay. All right.
And there it is. That's all you really need to know. And for the folks for whom that's important, it's really important. It's a huge milestone.
No, I'm with them on it. The way you explained it the second time, I completely got it.
I now have to Google to find out what that is. See, the people who know what it is, they're laughing at us because they know what it is.
Oh, people laugh at us all the time.
We bring a lot of that on ourselves.
Yes.
Frazier playing it on the grass at third against Hernandez, who has a lot of bunt hits. And the pitch catches the corner, even though Nita was popping out to fake a throw to first. That's a tough pitch to get a call on.
Yeah, you very rarely get that call. Watch, it's supposed to be inside, it's outside. So he's making a call on a pitch that's away that the catcher is moving. Very difficult to do. I'm not saying it wasn't a strike, it's just difficult to do.
So here's what a clover does.
Yes.
A clover integrates the functions of a cash register, a card payment terminal, and a point of sale system. So now you know.
Oh, outstanding.
I feel much better now. A, I realized that there was no way I could have known that before, and B, now I do know what it is.
There you go.
Hernandez pops it up, and Rosario retreats into the outfield and puts it away for the second out.
We're not educating anyone out there, but we're educating ourselves.
Really,
that's good.
This is what it's all about, is just making sure that at the end of the night, you and I know more than we did when the evening started.
I love that.
I mean, other than just the final score of the game, which, we're going to know just from being here.
That's right.
Dave Allen heading out to the mound to talk to Wheeler before he attacks Rhys Hoskins, the most dangerous bat in the Phillies batting order, nursing a 1-run lead in the 7th. Is that a clover?
Oh, I think it's integrating.
It's got all the tools there. Point of sale, cash register, credit card.
Jeff Nelson, the home plate umpire, because of the mound visits, he looks like he's doing like long division or his taxes, one or the other.
You know what I believe? I believe he would not like to be keeping track of mound visits.
Yeah, especially a veteran like Nelson who's been so good for so long. So I'm not saying it's beneath him.
All right, so mound visit recorded. Here we go. Points to the dugout. Where's the MVR listed here?
Well, he's integrating the mound visits on his card with his pen.
Let's see. Maybe if we get him a clover, it would be easier.
There you go.
All right. So here's Hoskins, who's 0 for 3, grounded out, struck out, and then was called out for interference as Nito tried to make a throw to second base. Hoskins got in his way and was called out for interference. By the way, if you're keeping that interference play in your scorecard, it's 2 unassisted.
2 unassisted. Great confidence you see from the manager and Zach Wheeler right here. 6 2/3 inning. Got the best hitter up in their lineup, most powerful hitter in their lineup, trusting him with getting him out.
And he runs a fastball inside to Hoskins, ball 1. Hoskins now with 1 hit in 6 at bats in his career against Wheeler.
They've really pitched him the same way. He's dangerous if you miss your spot, but inside is the way to get him out.
Win with speed at first. And Hoskins takes another one in off the plate. It's 2-0. And we got Scott Kingery in the on deck circle. He ran for Cabrera, then stayed in the game. So if you're Wheeler, you wouldn't want to groove one to Hoskins here, knowing that you have a lighter hitter on deck. Even if you wind up pushing that tying run into scoring position. Better than giving up a 2-run homer. Big fastball in for a strike, 2-1.
If Cabrera was up next, you'd have different thoughts. That's the problem with pinch running and pinch hitting and defensive replacement early in a tight game.
Well, we saw Gabe Kapler go to a defensive platoon with a 2-1 lead in the 2nd inning in a game at Citi Field. Rather curious. And then he fell behind, and well, that's why you don't do it that early. Grounded down to 3rd, and Frazier handles it and throws out Hoskins to end the inning. And so Zach Wheeler once again has gone through 7, and he gets through 7 with the lead. 5-4 going to the 8th. Pink verbena. Okay.
Okay.
Philodendrons. I think that's probably not right.
Rhododendrons.
Pink periwinkle. So the question is, how do we know which one's right?
I don't
It's like
know.
phlox. Phlox. That makes sense, right? If anything with a PH.
That's right.
Howie roses. Very cute.
That's
very
great.
nice. I know they're not roses. Ivy geraniums. Is that true? Is that what it really is? So the truck is telling us that they have done their due diligence, and this is Magyar is the winner. I like the winner music. Ivy geraniums it is, as Sir Anthony Dominguez takes over the pitching for the Phillies in the 8th inning.
Dominguez has been a real find. He's going to be part of this bullpen for a long time. He had a scoreless streak to start his career, a little over 15 innings. It's the longest since Marty Bystrom in 1980. Remember Marty Bystrom in 1980 down the stretch, went 5-0.
Yep. Grounded to the right side, charging is Hernandez, and he throws that Nimmo one away. I want to know, does Mrs. Magyar get a copy of the SNY home edition game?
We have a home
they
edition.
give it. When you win on a game show, you get the home edition.
Tell Mrs. Magyar to send something to someone, and they'll let us know, and we'll sign something for her. How's that
would
sound?
be good.
Okay.
Maybe we'll sign it in pink in honor of the Ivy geranium.
Have her people contact our people, and we'll get it done.
Here's Dominic Smith. Goes after a changeup and misses nothing in one. I want to know, is Mrs. Magyar from Hungary?
Why is that?
Isn't that where the Magyars are from?
Oh, well, that's right. That's
I think I
right.
remember that from my world history. And Dominguez overmatching Smith and gets ahead 0-2. Dom at a base hit back in the second. Struck out his last 2 at bats. Dominguez, the 5th Philadelphia pitcher of the night. Ball and 2 strikes to Smith. Austin Jackson waiting on deck. Mets have out hit the Phillies 11-3, and they lead 5-4 in the 8th. And Dominic couldn't catch up with a 99-mile-an-hour fastball after being teased with all those changeups, and there are 2 out. Watch SNY Mets games on the go on any device with live streaming presented by Verizon. Just visit SNY.TV or download the NBC Sports app today for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Jackson, who had an RBI double in the second, 1 for 3 on the night. And he fouls off the fastball, 0-1. Jake Arrieta went 5 innings, allowed 4 runs and 9 hits. Luis Avilan and Victor Arano combined for a 1-2-3-6. Tommy Hunter gave up the go-ahead run of the 7th. And now Dominguez trying to keep it a 1-run game in the 8th. Zach Wheeler made it through 7 innings for New York. The Mets will, I would imagine, go to the bullpen for the bottom of the 8th.
This is one of the few pitchers that come out of the bullpen that has a full windup. Usually you see them in the stretch. There's Gazelman getting ready to come in, and he's got a lot of deception in that windup, and it makes sense that he pitches that way. Arms and legs everywhere.
Don't forget the great name.
A great name.
Sir Anthony. Sir Anthony.
Like K. Sarah Sarah, SERA, right?
Whatever will be, Anthony. Fastball off the plate at 99 and a full count to Jackson. Tomas Nido would be next. Three-2 coming. Jackson fouls it off. Coming up tonight after the post-game show, it's Geico Sports Night. Get the one-on-one with the Jets coach.
The Giants are finally speaking, or they already spoke?
And did someone say preseason hockey? Come on. Stroked the other way, right into the glove of Santana to retire the side. Let's go down 1-2-3 in the top of the 8th. 1-run lead for the Mets. Gesellman coming in.
David Wright does it again at Citizens Bank Park. They got him! Oh, wow, what a play by David Wright. David Wright with his second opposite field home run of the night.
David might just want to buy a condo here in Philadelphia. Well, David Wright had a great career everywhere, but he especially loved hitting here at Citizens Bank Park. 22 home runs in this ballpark. The only ballparks other than Shea Stadium and Citi Field where he hit that many. And enjoying his time here. He got another presentation today. The other day he got the number 5 off the Fenway Park scoreboard. Today, Charlie Manuel, the former Phillies manager, presented David with the NYM off the out-of-town scoreboard here in Philly.
Oh, wow.
Wilmer Flores in a double switch. He'll play first base. Robert Gesellman will pitch in the 8th. Scott Kingery up for the first time and takes a fastball strike for Gesellman, for whom the last couple of weeks have not been pretty. Gesellman had a good outing his last time out against the Marlins with a hitless inning, but he's given up runs in 4 of his last 6 outings. Kingery takes a slider off the plate, 1-1.
We'd be remiss if we didn't say the people on this floor that we're on have to be the nicest people ever, but they gave an honor Jay Horwitz today. They gave him a cake and everyone surrounded him and gave him a gift and commemorating his service as head of PR. It was a nice touch.
And among those who were there making the presentation was Bobby Wine, the former Phillies shortstop and one-time Mets coach, who is actually today celebrating his 80th birthday.
Right.
So happy birthday to the man known as Wino. And
Jay.
there's Jay, who is on his he's on his retirement tour. Well, he's not retiring, but he's changing jobs.
How about with the fancy shirt with Jay? What's that about?
Kingery strikes out, and that's how the bottom of the 8th begins.
Look at the fancy cuffs.
I'm just glad they didn't put eye black on the binoculars.
Oh, we used to do that to him all the time in the 80s. We used to put the eye black on the binoculars, and he'd come out of there looking like a raccoon.
One out and nobody on. Here's Wilson Ramos, is 1 for 3 on the night. And he pops one a mile high near home plate. Frazier comes in to take charge, and that's the second out. So you may not believe this, Ronnie, but it's the bottom of the 8th inning, and we have never shown the Mets defense today.
Is that right?
We were remiss early in the game.
Oh, I'm so happy. The changes are Gazelman, of course, and Flores comes in on the double switch and is at first base.
But
Dominic Smith out.
Don't you think Lexus is happy that we finally got to the defense?
Well, I think Lexus has it in his contract that we better get to the defense at some point.
Better late than never. There's Carlos Santana, who's walked twice and lined out 0 for 1. And Gazelman misses outside, ball 1. Well, as the Mets try and put a further crimp in the Phillies' postseason hopes, the ray of sunshine for the Phils is in Atlanta, where the Cardinals lead the Braves 6-2 in the 6th. Braves with a magic number of 8 for clinching the National League East. 6.5 games over the Phils, 7.5 over the Nats. And the Phillies still have to go to Colorado for a series, while the Braves will stay in division after their series with the Cardinals.
Phillies rearranged, remember, their pitching with Aaron Nola, so he'd face the Braves twice in the 7 games remaining.
And they're hoping that will be of import. They certainly need help, and they're getting some tonight from the Cardinals, who are in a race of their own, tied with the Dodgers for the second wild card spot coming into the night. Santana bounces it foul, and it's 2-2. It was such an enormous win for St. Louis last night after the Dodgers beat them 3 straight to start that 4-game series. Santana bounces one off his foot, a foul ball. Zach Wheeler went 7 innings. He allowed 4 runs on only 3 hits. He walked 2, struck out 4, hit 3 batters, threw a wild pitch, 96 pitches. Wheeler started the night 10th in the National League in ERA at 3.23, so that's going to go up. Finishes the night at 3.31. But he's in line for his 12th win. Santana hits a rocket, and that's into right field for a base hit. Nimmo over to cut it off, and he'll hold Santana to a single. So Santana on base for the 3rd time tonight, and the tying run aboard with 2 out.
Well, went to the well once too often with that changeup to Santana, and he was all over this one. Doesn't matter if you have the shift, if you hit the ball on the nose, right by McNeil.
So is Kapler out of pinch runners at this point?
I guess he is. Unless he wants to use one of his 15 pitchers in the bullpen.
He's got Aaron Altair on the bench. He can run better than Santana. He's got Pedro Florimon on the bench. He can run better than Santana. Here's Nick Williams, who's 1 for 3, had a base hit and scored a run in the 5th. When the Phillies got all 4 of their runs. Gazelman misses up and away, ball 1. As tonight's starters brought to you by People's United Bank. Arrieta was not sharp, and the Mets took advantage. Could have taken better advantage, as a matter of fact.
And Wheeler wasn't sharp either, but held it together to get through 7 innings.
Good fastball by Gazelman, 96 up in the zone, and it's 1-1. Santana at first with 2 out. And Williams watches one out of the strike zone, 2-1. Drew Smith, the right-hander. Daniel Zamora, the left-hander, staying busy amongst the ivy geraniums. Off speed, right center. Jackson back, has plenty of room, and that retires the side. A hit and one left. Thank you, Mrs. Magyar. 5-4 going to the ninth. All right, Gary and Nelson, you earned some Ivy geraniums as Hector Neris comes in to pitch the ninth inning for the Phils.
Neris has a strikeout in 18 consecutive appearances. See his numbers, though. First batter face numbers. Walks are down, strikeouts are up. That 5.09 ERA is high, though.
Jay Bruce is going to bat for Tomas Nido, leading off in the top of the ninth. Wilmer Flores is hitting in the 9-hole behind him, and then Ahmed Rosario for the Mets against Neris, who's had a really odd year. As he throws a splitter to get ahead on Bruce, 0-1. Began the year as the closer, saved 10 games, lost his splitter, got sent to the minor leagues, and has been utterly dominant since coming back. And back-to-back splitters get him ahead 0-2 on Bruce.
Well, he's been dominant at times over his 44+ innings, but he's also given up 11 home runs, which is an exorbitant number for a late inning reliever.
Flores on deck. Bruce takes the fastball up out of the strike zone, 1-2. Gabe Kapler's gone to 6 pitchers tonight. Jake Arrieta went the first 5, allowed 4 runs, 9 hits. And now Neris, the latest arm out of the bullpen. And the splitter misses down, 2-2. Bruce DH'd the last 2 days in Boston. Went 1 for 3 yesterday. Pinch hitting tonight in the ninth. And he takes a splitter low and in, 3-2. See the shift against Jay, the full triangle on the right side. Neris got ahead 2 strikes. Now he's gone full on Bruce. And Jay lays off, ball 4. So he swung at the first 2 splitters, but was able to lay off every one after that out of the strike zone. And the Mets have the leadoff man on, and we'll get a pinch runner. Time for the Built for Baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. Go ahead hit in the 7th inning. Michael Conforto, his 3rd RBI of the night. A 2-out double put the Mets up 5-4, and thus it remains. Jack Reinheimer is going to run for Bruce at first base.
Well, you're never going to have Wilmer bunt, especially in this ballpark.
Well, Reinheimer pinch running as he did yesterday in Boston, and he got picked off by Brandon Workman. He'll try to avoid the same fate tonight. See, already better.
It's the analytics. They have that on the card from yesterday.
Don't get picked off. Jack's got some speed. He stole as many as 39 bases in a minor league season. None in the big leagues so far, and Wilmer swings through a fastball, 0-1. Flores just came in the game in the double switch. Got the start at first base yesterday. Was on base twice and had a sacrifice fly. Ahmed Rosario waits on deck. Wilmer's 3 for 7 with a home run against Hector Neris. And he swings through another fastball, and it's 0-2.
You know, Gary, we were talking about earlier about the races in the National League changing every day. So are the races for the MVP in the National League. Christian Yelich might have made a little move today. Another cycle tonight as the Brewers are ahead 8-0 over Cincinnati.
He has had a tremendous last 6 weeks. Wilmer with a tapper to the right side, and that's going to sneak through for a base hit. Reinheimer stumbled coming around second, but he'll go to third nonetheless. An excuse me base hit for Wilmer Flores, and the Mets have runners at the corners with nobody out.
Well, nothing you can do if you're the Phillies here. Just pure luck here by Wilmer with 2 strikes, just putting the ball in play. And sometimes good things happen.
So now the Mets poised to add some insurance. Phillies will bring the infield in with Ahmed Rosario at the plate. Rosario's 1 for 3, a sacrifice fly, a stolen base, a run scored. And he chases a pitch out of the strike zone, 0-1.
This is still one area, and I know that he's had a sacrifice earlier in this game where Ahmed's got to get a little better, a little more patience. Don't let them get you out with balls off the plate.
And there's another one, and it's 0-2.
It's a natural thing for young hitters when they get runners on base in close games. They want to produce. They want to do something positive, so they become impatient.
You see the splitter from Neris, well out of the strike zone. Rosario had the sac fly in the 5th, but he goes down swinging here for the first out, and completely overmatched by the Neris splitter. 1 out.
This wasn't as good as the split finger before. This one, though, was away enough to elude the bat of Rosario.
So now Jeff McNeil, who already has 2 hits tonight, a single and a double. The infield stays in. Not confident in their ability to turn a double play with McNeil at the plate. That's interesting. And Ramos picks that one out. Ball 1.
McNeil can run, but he wouldn't consider him fast.
Yeah. I think this is ridiculous.
Yes,
why would you play the infield this far in?
Well, everything has a reason, or I'm told.
Well, especially with a guy who puts the ball in play the way McNeil does, you just enhance his chances of hitting one by you.
Plus, the split finger is a ball down in the strike zone. You're more apt to get a ball hit on the ground.
Michael Conforto standing on deck. He's already driven in 3 runs tonight. Reinheimer at third. Flores at first. Austin Davis, the lefty, up in the Phillies bullpen, getting ready for Conforto. 2-0 to McNeil, and that splitter stays high, and it's 3-0. There's a strike, 3-1.
Especially with the advantage of McNeil with the count, I would push those infielders back in the middle.
Three-one coming, and McNeil fouls back the fastball, 3-2.
Reinheimer at third with one out should be coming on contact. Any contact by McNeil, he should be coming. If he's going to be a dead duck, he gets into a pickle. Run down.
And McNeil lines it into right field for a base hit, and the Mets have their insurance run. Reinheimer comes in to score. McNeil with his third hit of the night makes it 6-4 New York. Just a magician with the bat.
Just kind of swats that ball. You can tell he cuts down on that swing with 2 strikes to just put it in play. You see where his bat starts. He's covering every bit of that outside corner.
Can you say throwback?
Throwback.
Jeff McNeil is every bit of that.
Is it me or does he get 3 hits every game?
Austin Davis will come in to pitch for the Phillies to face Conforto. Mets have tacked one on the McNeil hit and lead 6-4. We'll be right back. '25-year-old Austin Davis on to pitch for the Phillies. Facing Michael Conforto, who's already got 2 hits and 3 RBIs tonight. And before Davis throws a pitch, he needs a consultation. Gives us a chance to look back on Jeff McNeil's 3 hits tonight.
Just look at the point of contact. To pitch up and away or belt high and away. Eyes right on the ball. 1, he just hits kind of off his shoe tops down in the strike zone, but middle. That's why he was put into play. And this one's off the plate away. A split finger that's going to run away, gets it off the end of the bat, but just enough to get it over the indrawn infield.
Now Conforto with 2 aboard. And he takes low and in for ball 1. Michael drove in a pair of runs with a base hit to center in the 5th, and then he pulled a double into the right field corner to drive in the go-ahead run in the 7th. Mets have 13 hits tonight against 7 Philadelphia pitchers, and Davis quickly falls behind 2-0. Austin Davis, who became famous when he was defrocked with the defensive card in his back pocket. Joe West took it out of play, said it was a foreign object. Well, the card is back in his pocket now.
Yeah, we just saw him looking at it. It's really it's a card on his game plan against the left-handed hitters of the Mets. That's who he usually comes in to face, although no one else is up in the Phillies bullpen.
And Conforto lays off, and it's 3-1. Got Todd Frazier on deck, right-hand hitter, and then Brandon Nimmo, another lefty. So Davis is getting this stretch of Met hitters. Nery's faced 4 batters, gave up 2 hits and a walk, and he's already been cost a run. And now Conforto trying to add to that, up in the count 3-1. And Michael swings and misses at a fastball, 3-2. Austin Davis, the first ever big leaguer from Cal State Bakersfield, which is in Bakersfield. Fouled away. And I don't know the answer to this question. Maybe you do.
Yes.
Somebody who once lived in California.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what the nickname is for Cal State Bakersfield?
I do not. I used to drive by it all the time on that Highway 5 from Los Angeles to San Francisco.
They are the Road Runners. You drove by, they ran by. In the air, center field and deep. Back goes Herrera to the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. Michael Conforto puts on the capper with a 3-run homer. A 6 RBI night for Conforto, and the Mets lead it 9-4. Conforto's 26th home run of the year, a huge night for Michael.
Well, it doesn't matter how many pitchers you bring in. If they don't get the job done, lefty-lefty matchup favors Philadelphia Phillies, but Conforto hits one in the bushes. Don't know what kind of bush that is.
The anvil falls on the former Roadrunner. Conforto with a 6 RBI night. Now has 75 runs batted in for the season. Six RBIs, a new career high for Conforto, whose numbers at the end of the year are going to look awfully respectable.
This is Magyar. Do you know what kind of bushes those are?
Get back to us, please. We need some more botany lessons. Just call your local landscaper. Should be able to fill you in. You know, the vegetation took a pounding. 2-2 now to Frazier, who's 1 for 4 on the night. So the Mets let a 4-run lead get away. Phillies tied it. Mets took the lead on Conforto's hit in the 7th, and now they have broken it open with 4 in the 9th. And Frazier fouls it off his fists to stay alive. So 3 of the runs in this inning charged to Hector Neris in just a third of an inning, and the last one on the ledger of Austin Davis. I guess the card was wrong. Frazier lifts one to center. This one's playable for Herrera. And that's the second out.
He just got behind Conforto, and Conforto, at least after the All-Star break, has been so tough on left-handed pitchers.
Whatever the card said, Conforto trumped it.
That's right. Maybe you got a peek at the card.
Well, it looks like Daniel Zamora might get the 9th inning now with a 5-run lead. Lower third of the order due up for the Phillies, starting with 2 left-hand hitters, Herrera and Crawford. And Nimmo pops one up in foul ground. And that'll go out of play. 0-1. Nimmo's 1 for 3 and a walk tonight. He doubled back in the 4th inning, then got caught trying to steal third. While the Phillies are on the short end here, the Braves are fighting back against St. Louis. It's now 6-4 Cardinals in the 7th.
Cardinals have had some issues with their own bullpen.
One-two coming. And it's up and away 2-2. Well, they've got Carlos Martinez now working in relief.
Jordan Hicks, but they were used last night to win that ball game against the Dodgers.
Just off the plate, and Nimmo runs the count full. Pitcher spot due up next. Kevin Plawecki is on deck. He'll pinch hit. He'll be coming in the game anyway after Nito left for a pinch hitter. And Nimmo hits it sharply, but it eats up Hernandez. It comes right back to him, and he throws out Nimmo to end the inning. Fortunate bounce for Cesar Hernandez. Gets Austin Davis through the top of the 9th, but not before the Mets put up a 4 spot, capped by Michael Conforto's 3-run homer. Big night for Conforto. Career high 6 RBIs, and the Mets need 3 more outs, leading 9-4. Daniel Zamora will be called upon to try and get the final 3 outs.
Well, he's been a pleasant surprise, to tell you the truth. When he came up, you didn't know how his numbers from Binghamton, which were very good, were going to translate in the major league level, but he has a major league breaking ball.
He was wonderful on Saturday, pitched an inning and a third, struck out 4. And Odubel Herrera will come out for a pinch hitter. Andrew Knapp will bat for him. Switch hitting catcher. There are his actual numbers. So it'll be Knapp, and then Pedro Florimon, another switch hitter, will bat for J.P. Crawford on deck. And Zamora starts with that signature slider, 0-1. I mean, when Zamora goes to the mound, if you're a left-hand hitter or right-hand hitter, it doesn't matter. You know what's coming. So the question is, can you adjust to that slider, which many of these players are seeing for the first time? The Red Sox could not. gets the slider in for a strike, and it's 1-2. Robert Gazelman worked a scoreless 8th, allowed a hit. After Zach Wheeler went the first 7. It's Jose Bautista now on deck to pinch hit. Wheeler in line for his 12th win of the year now with breathing room. Mets took the lead in the 7th, broke it open in the 9th. And Knapp bounces the slider foul. Still 1-2. Mets are trying to go to 11-5 in September. A lot of that September has been on the back of Michael Conforto, who now has 22 RBIs in 16 games this month.
It shows you what he can do as far as carrying a team when he is hitting the way that he can.
Line the other way, a base hit for Knapp. And so Andrew Knapp uses a pinch hitter, delivers a leadoff single to start the Phillies' 9th. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Well, Gary, Daniel Zamora has really tried to pick the brain here of Jerry Blevins down the stretch, and Blevins has really taken him under his wing. The two are such similar pitchers. They love that breaking ball and throw it pretty often. They can shape it a lot. The one thing that Blevins has tried to work with Zamora on is his prep. He said, A, you're going to have to throw the fastball at some point here, so know where you can throw the fastball to certain batters, and B, you can look at batters' heat maps, and that can inform you on how you want to shape that particular batter, the breaking pitch that you're throwing to him.
This out, it doesn't go so well for Zamora. He leaves after giving up the leadoff hit. Drew Smith will try and finish this game up. 9-4 Mets in the 9th. We'll be right back. Drew Smith comes in the 9th inning with a runner aboard and nobody out. Throws a first pitch curveball inside to Jose Bautista.
Well, we've seen Smith. He is of all the right-handers out there, has probably distinguished himself the most down the stretch.
Had a rough beginning to his outing in Boston Saturday. Gave up the go-ahead hit to Brock Holt, who doubled off the left center field wall. He then got 4 outs in that stint. Bautista, who had his run with the Mets earlier this year, pinch hitting here. Aaron Altair on deck to pinch hit. And Bautista with a cut. 2-1. And now Smith falls behind 3-1. Altair, who's on deck to bat for the pitcher. Bautista batting for Crawford. Fastball strike 3-2. Keep in mind, if Smith finds further trouble, Seth Lugo probably is not available tonight after pitching yesterday. Gazelman was used in the 8th. Blevins has been up twice already in this game and never came in. Don't know if he's available to get up a 3rd time. Bautista slugs one out to left center deep. Back goes Jackson onto the track. A step from the wall to make the catch. And back to first goes Knapp, 1 away. Five years ago, that's 10 rows deep. But that's what happens when you're 37. Now Aaron Altair will pinch hit.
Talked about a lost year for J.P. Crawford. Same for Aaron Altair, who came into the season as the starting outfielder for this Philadelphia Phillies team, but just couldn't, I mean, historically couldn't get it on track.
Nick Williams basically took over for him in right field. Altair 5 for 26 as a pinch hitter, including a home run. Nelson needs to get an iPad behind the plate. He's got a lot of notational issues tonight.
A little short-handed course, much needed.
Curveball sits out of Altair, 1-0. I mean, they allow the iPads on the bench now. You would think that the umpires could be more electronically equipped. Chopper grabbed by Frazier, chance for 2. McNeil the turn, and the ball game is over. Drew Smith generates the 5-4-3 double play. He gets the final 3 outs. A huge night for Michael Conforto as he drives in 6 runs. And the Mets help reduce the Braves' magic number to 7 for clinching the National League East as they beat the Phillies for the 11th time this year, 9-4 the final.
Well, a historic day for Conforto. Now has 75 RBIs. Jeff McNeil with another 3-hit game. A lot of help off the bench. And Wheeler, 7 really fine innings considering he did not have his best stuff. Still got through 7, only allowing 4.
Game summary presented by